Hi traders, and welcome to Pepperstone's Technical Analysis Market Wrap on Friday the 18th of September. So I've seen some moderate moves in the markets this week, nothing outstanding given the news that was going to be released and the FOMC statement, but there was enough to certainly get some pips between some good ranges on the majors. So we'll jump straight in and take a look and see if there's any opportunities that we can get today and for early next week. So we'll start out on the Aussie USD on the daily chart. You can see we've had some really good support here for a very long time now, and this week has been no different. The 20 moving average has provided all the support we need for this particular pair, but it has given us some really good scalping opportunities. Like I've mentioned a few times in previous weeks, this has been a really good scalping pair because it's got a very good level of support and pretty solid resistance at the top end as well. And because it's operating in 50 to 100 pip ranges, it does make it fairly easy to trade. So we'll pop down to a smaller time frame. We'll go to the 4 hour first, and we'll check out what I mean. So you can see it landed on the 200 here, had a good rejection candle, and made a series of higher highs and higher lows. And basically that was a pretty good trade long from around that sort of 72 area, just a little bit higher than 72, 72.10. You got the rebound, and then it also formed a double top over here on the 4 hour chart. You can see that one played out as well. It broke the neckline and went the distance that you would expect it to, all inside the support level that you're getting from the 20 moving average on the daily. So it's really, even on the 1 hour, you can see it pretty clearly. You can see the double top there as well. You even had a bit of a retest of the neckline, and then down she came again. So it's giving you some really good scalping opportunities. Again, this is not a long-term trade. You're not looking for big long-term movements on this particular one, but the scalping opportunities inside the ranges are really, really good. So nothing has changed this week. We'll be looking for similar sort of movements. You can see that we've got the rejection off the 20 again. So we're basically just waiting and playing the scalping game on this one and trading the ranges. So the next one we'll have a look at is the USDCAD. This is the 4 hour chart. I wanted to bring this one up first because this is the one we checked out last week. You can see that it's made the series of higher highs and higher lows that we wanted. It continued on with the job. Went straight to the 200 moving average, which is pretty normal, but it's still hovering around the this area here around the 130, 160 to 132. It had a bit of a go up to the 132.80 area, but it's still hovering above the moving averages, which is really important. On a daily chart, it's a little bit more obvious that it's finding the support on the 20 moving average now. It took a long time to break it down. You can see that it went all the way down there. It took a while to break up, and when it did, now it's trying its hardest to stay above it. This candle is a bit of a worry. It's obviously had a bit of a sell-off in this last session. And yeah, it really wants to close above this 20 moving average now because that is a pretty reasonable sell-off. The MACD is still clearly rising here. The signal line is starting to go up. The histogram is not far off going into above the zero zone. So yeah, still looking relatively solid. All we've got is a lot of consolidation here. It's had a go, rejected, but what we want to see here is a definite pullback above the 20 and close above there. You know, this is a pretty important zone. You can see the support here, right through here, a little bit of resistance there. So it's obviously a very important zone for it. The 50 needs to be broken before it goes to any significant heights, but just I'll watch and see on this one. Still, you know, you can still look at it from a scalping and a longer term view standpoint. This one, you're getting some good scalps in these ranges between the 131 sort of 60 to 80 area all the way up to the 132.50. So that range there is providing some pretty good scalps if you get a smaller time frame change of trend, but the longer move is certainly still to the upside. Hasn't given us any indication that it's not going to break up this above this 50 and get into the 134s again. So that's the longer term trade, but you can scalp in between that one. So we'll move on now to the dollar index. This has been an interesting one because it did break above the 20 on the daily chart, and it was certainly hovering above it. And look, it had a really good go yesterday at trying to make a new high. You can see it reached it pretty much to the point, but it has basically reversed straight off that now, and it's pulling all the way back down below the 20. We definitely want to see this one pull up at some point throughout today's trading session. You can see that it's around that 92.86 at the moment. This level needs to hold. It really does need to basically pull up above the 20 again. It's still got a lot of momentum in its favor. You can see the moving averages on the 12 and the 26 on the MACD are still rising. So you can see the It's about to break above the zero. Signal line is still rising. So from a longer term perspective, it's still looking relatively strong. But yeah, this candle is a little bit of a concern. It certainly needs to do a little bit of work to get above this 20 again and maintain that strength, because this is going to provide the support we need to see it reach the heights that we need to do. The US dollar CAD is depending on this somewhat, so it just does need to happen really to see us reach the heights on the US dollar CAD that we were looking at. So we need to close above this 20 to start looking at those US dollar based pairs again. But from a longer term perspective, again, it's still looking relatively strong. We just need a little bit more strength in the next couple of sessions to get this above the 20 again. So we'll move on to the euro now. The euro USD is painting the opposite picture of the dollar index, of course. You can see that it had a reasonable attempt to push to the lower end of this channel, and it completely rejected that, and now it's trying to get above the 20 moving average again. So this is one of those ones, again, that's similar to the Aussie USD. Really good scalping opportunities on this one. It's trading well within the channels that we've been discussing for several weeks now. The 117, 118, 119 channel, it's been really good. It's moving in really proportionate moves, sort of 50 to 100 pips at a time. So it's fairly predictable, and that's really good when you can go to the smaller time frames. You've channeled it up. When you go to the smaller time frames and even down to a 1 hour, you can see that you're getting really good patterns. The higher highs and higher lows are playing the game all the way through the channel. You can see how many trading opportunities you do get. And the 20 moving averages are being respected even on the smaller time frames to get yourself into those scalps. So as long as you're sticking to the ranges until you get a significant break of one of these levels, that being the 120 or the 117, there's no reason to change the tact on this one. It's provided some really good opportunities, and we'll keep doing that, basically taking the 50 to 100 pip moves in the direction of the resistance at 120 and the support at 117, and scalp it for those ones and keep playing that scalping game on this one without any long-term predictions. We'll move on to the S&P 500 because this is the one that's provided some reasonable moves this week. I'll blow it up a little bit and make it a little bit bigger, so you can see here that it's resting on the 50 moving average. This is a support that we highlighted last week. It reached the highs of that 134 sort of 20 area. So it's been around about 110, 120 pip movements this week, but they've been pretty predictable, and you can see even on the smaller time frames, like you can see we had it's more on the 1 hour, is probably more prominent. You can see here that it was actually making a nice series of higher highs and higher lows all the way up to the resistance at around that 134.25, and it's come down in a relatively orderly fashion as well. You can see the little mini pullback there. Once it broke past the 200 moving average, it came down, had a pretty good sell-off, then came back, retested the 20 and sold off again. So it's given us some scalping opportunities. Again, this is not a long-termer, especially in the month of September. We know that there's a lot of news and election coming up. This is one where we're not really trying to predict a really big move. We're just playing the ranges as they present themselves. And that range between 3,300 and 3,400 has been really, really good. So hopefully you've been able to capture some of that. The technicals are playing out really nicely, okay? So when you're following the 20 moving average, taking pullbacks to the 20 on the 1 hour time frame, you're going to get pretty good results. Even on the 15 minute, you can see that it's doing the same thing. So if you want to scalp even on a smaller time frame on this one, which is perfectly fine, you can see that the short off the resistance zones have been very orderly. You can see they're pulling back quite nicely. All of these are opportunities to get in on that short, and then it finds a support down where we would expect the support to be, and it's starting to consolidate. So now what we're looking for here is more than likely a break and play the game all the way up again. See it break above the moving averages and start to look for a pattern of series of higher highs and higher lows, and maybe take it up into those highs. So until we get a break, a serious break, like on a daily chart of a daily candle at the 3,300 or below 3,300 or above the 3,420, we're just going to keep it in this range. We've got to trade what the market tells us it wants to do. It's no point trying to force the market to do what you want it to do, because that's just simply not going to work out. So once you identify the ranges that the market is staying in, work within those bounds, and trading becomes a hell of a lot easier. We'll take a look at the ASX 200 now. We'll see what this one's doing. It's similar to what the S&P 500 has done in a sense that it has had a range that it's basically worked within this week. You can see that it had a rise most of the week, and then it's had that pretty reasonable fall. But it is staying in a pretty confined area as well. Okay, so like we also mentioned, this is a scalping opportunity as well. It's sitting between the low 58s to basically high 59. So you got about 150 pip range on the ASX 200 as well. The smaller time frames are giving you the opportunity. The only difference with this one is it's looking slightly weaker because it is actually trading underneath the moving averages on the daily now. Even though they have flatlined, and you can see that they're not really moving in any direction with any significance. Price is underneath it though. So now we expect that the moving averages are going to act as resistance rather than support, which is what they did all the way through there. So I guess the bias is probably more to the selling side. So every time price gets up to these moving averages, it's probably going to provide an opportunity to maybe take it short. We can't do anything with this one until we get a confirmed break of the daily above the 62.50 area or a significant break below the 57.50. So that's the channel that we're operating in. Again, although we're not getting really big trends, we are getting really good opportunities on the smaller time frames to trade within these basically really solid channels, and that really gives us a lot more opportunity sometimes than actually a trending market, because you have to wait for pullback. So certainly take these opportunities when you see them at the key support and resistance zones. Go to the smaller time frame. So you can, like on this one as an example, if we draw the horizontal line at the support level that we're talking about, which is around here, 5800, we can go to the 1 hour and you can see again the patterns are playing out. You can see the double bottom that we had here. You can see the movement, the nice movement of higher highs and higher lows. Taking the 20 pullbacks to the 20 are always a long opportunity. Now what we're looking for is effectively, this is in the middle of that channel now, so it's either going to break down to the lows again. So if it gets down to the 5800s, you'd be looking for a change of trend, a small time frame change of trend to take it long. Or if it breaks above the 59.70 area, then you're basically aiming for the 6100 again. But yeah, here it is at the 20. More than likely, if it is going to go down to the bottom level again, it's probably going to find resistance here at the 20 moving average on the daily, on the 1 hour, and head to the daily support, which is around this level here. So look for potential shorts from this 20 here. Aim for the 58.18. You need to go to a smaller time frame change of trend. So what you want to see is a series of lower highs and lower lows before that's confirmed. So if we get a series of lower highs and lower lows on a 15-minute chart, you can basically take it to the 1 hour and you'll know that that 20 is held, and then you can basically short it to the 58.18. Not huge moves. You're only talking about 80 to 70 points on the indices, but certainly good enough to scalp, and they will quite often happen in the daily time frame that you're looking at. So this could easily happen in today's trading session or throughout New York tonight. So I hope everyone's had a great week's trading. We've had some pretty good setups, and yeah, the markets have really behaved themselves in between the major zones that we talked about. So hopefully you're able to get some good pips out of that. Hope you have a great weekend, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.